In this video, we'll look at Ron Barron's calculation for his 2030 stock price predictions of a 4.5 trillion market cap, as well as his line of thinking, and the likelihood that this number could come to fruition. Before we go there, smash that like button and subscribe. American investor and founder of Barron Capital Group, Ron Barron, is a highly successful businessman. He believes that Tesla will change the world, and in less than 3 years, in 2025, he projects a massive surge in Tesla stock price that we, the ones who know that this company will, in an interview with Market Insider on November 4, 2022, billionaire investor and philanthropist Ron Barron predicted that Tesla's value could rise by 570% to $4.5 trillion over the course of the next 10 years. Barron has over 50 years of experience in the investment sector and is recognized as one of the most successful investors of his generation. Barron has established a reputation for himself by making investments in rapidly expanding businesses, such as some of the largest names in consumer goods, healthcare, and technology. Let's get started. According to predictions, the value of Tesla's stock, which was trading for less than $200 per share when this video was made, could rise to between $500 and $600 per share in 2025, potentially increasing the value of the company by 2.5 to 3.5 times over the following 10 years. Furthermore, it is projected that the corporation will grow 7 to 8 times faster than expected, reaching $4.5 trillion in the same timeframe, although Tesla itself predicted sales of 1.3 million in 2017, according to Musk's firm. Barron's bullish estimates for the next 10 years show that his target anticipates Tesla's annual auto sales to be 20 million. The terminology used in that remark is primarily gloomy, not only because it doesn't prioritize our own human issues, but also because let's move forward and ignore more profitable options. According to his statement, by 2030, he and Tesla will have sold 20 million cars annually, each costing $50,000. This would have generated $1 trillion in revenue and operating profits of roughly 30%, for a total of $300 billion. As an example, I expect a range of about 20 million cars to no more than 30 million cars using a 15x multiplier applied only to motor vehicles. Let's look at the last piece of evidence that, in my opinion, demonstrates the complete irrationality of this forecast. The future that Ron Barron envisions is devoid of fully autonomous driving capabilities due to the rapid advancements at Tesla, including Elon Musk's prediction that robots will soon outnumber cars. We'll skip right to the part where he emphasizes that there won't be any bots, no fully autonomous driving capabilities, or batteries. Based on calculations presented in this video, the valuation of vehicles is expected to increase 7 or 8 times its current value in 2030. But before we get there, let's take a moment to consider where we are now and how far we have come. Working backwards from 2030, we can estimate that the delivery of 20 million vehicles at $50,000 each would generate $1 trillion. I realize this sounds crazy, but let's go with Barron's statement that they will keep taking and diluting until you are worth 7 or 8 times your money, or slightly less than 67 earnings per share. It's hard for me to believe this isn't 69 at a PE of 15, which would equate to $1,000 per share and a market capitalization of $4.5 trillion by 2030. According to Ron Barron, if trading levels remain unchanged by 2024 and 2025, the stock will have been greatly diluted. However, in my opinion, by 2026 or 2027, the number of outstanding shares will decrease rather than rise. Barron assumes a 5% annual dilution, but I believe that this is far from the reality and that buybacks will only result in a 1 to 2% dilution. After all, who is going to sell Tesla shares these days? Elon will, if anyone, because he is a 0% entrepreneur and no one else will. Assume, for the purposes of this analysis, that each vehicle will cost $50,000. However, in my opinion, this price per vehicle cannot rise above $40,000 in 2030. They would have $600 billion in sales, a 30% operating margin, $80 billion in net income, and up to $15 billion if they produced 20 million vehicles, which is probably closer to $30,000. We'll learn more about the vehicles in due course, but for the time being it appears more plausible that Ron Barron's projection of the value of vehicles alone will reach $2.7 trillion by 2030, or a share price of $600 per share from vehicles alone. Given that Barron predicts the stock price will climb to $500 or $600 in 2025, let's circle back on his theories and see if we can figure them out. We can calculate the stock price and PES, A P/E of 60 is reasonable, assuming they produce the anticipated net income of about $13 billion in 2022, with a probable range of 55 to 65. The average is 63. With a P/E of 60, the market capitalization surpasses $700 billion, and the price per share would be $240. Therefore, the market value of the equities need to be higher once again. Additionally, I think that during a period of considerable quantitative tightening and rate increases by the Fed, assuming the P/E is lower at 55, the macroeconomic environment and market sentiment will trample on the P/E, causing the market cap to fall below $700 billion and the stock price to plunge to 220. However, that is overly conservative, given that the price of shares has already doubled in 2023, a P/E of 75, a market value of about $1 trillion, and a share price of $300 per share in 2023 seem more plausible. Given that $300 a share might possibly be too conservative as an end-of-year estimate, let's talk about 2024. Assuming that the stock price in 2025 will be $434 per share with a market capitalization of more than $1.5 trillion, let's begin with a P/E of 43. With a market valuation of over $2 trillion, I anticipated a P/E of 37 and received 550, matching Ron Barron's 500 to 600 price projection for 2025. In 2026, a company with a market capitalization of more than $2.5 trillion will have a 682 stock price at a P/E of 32. The stock price in 2027 with a P/E ratio of 27 would be 816, and the market capitalization would reach $3.1 trillion in 2028. The price per share would be 843. The P/E ratio would be 20. The market cap would reach $3.2 trillion in 2029. Shares would cost $9.79, and we would eventually reach 2030. We arrive at the stock price of $1,000 per share that Ron Barron predicted at a market valuation of $4.5 trillion. As with any forecast, it could happen, but it could also not. As with any other forecast, you should be skeptical. At a volume of 20 million vehicles per year, the idea that every car would sell for $50,000 is absurd, and Ron Barron prominently features that idea. The reason for the absurdity is that people would not be able to pay $50,000 for a car, at least not the average person. In order to sell 20 million vehicles annually, they would probably need to appeal to a wider audience, and the price would be closer to $30,000. Nevertheless, let's be hopeful and add that FSD and other $30,000 is the estimated one-time cost for FSD in 2030. This is due to the fact that, in just 2 years, our income increased from $8,000 in 2020 to $15,000 in 2022. Since we don't currently have a subscription base, I'm going to assume that 15% of all newly sold vehicles will have FSD, just to be safe. I'm estimating a doubling in FSD expenses over the next 10 years. As a result, our original vehicle's price per share of $344 in 2023 will translate to $396 per share immediately going forward, all the way down to 2030 with FSD in the equation. Our market cap is $5.7 trillion and $1,267 per share. No batteries, energy, or robots. Has a conversion rate of probably closer to 30%, but I'll be conservative and round down to 15. Not bad for a conservative estimate, considering that you need the sum of $1.7 million, which is widely thought to be the magic number for retirement. Assuming a price per share of $12.67 in 2030, you would only need 1,342 shares to live your dream retirement in 7 years. That's incredible, isn't it? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll see you on the next foreign video.